guys, Ramblin Bob here, and today we're going to look at the Bluetti EB3A. This is a really little tiny handy little power station, little portable guy. It on top of the AC300 it almost looks like a knick-knack. It's just a little tiny machine that if you need something quick and on the go, it's a 268 watt-hour little micro very powerful little solar generator. Okay, let's see what it has. So starting with the picture up here, let's run through all the angles real quick here. Let's see. Okay. I like the fold away handle. The handle's nice when it goes out of the way like that. That's nice. I don't like the power stations that have, you know, the handles or the bumps that stick up, because with a system like this you can easily stack something on top of it, which is nice. I believe this one has the wireless charging on top, but we'll see in a minute. Make sure that's the one I'm thinking about. Here you have a 12-volt cigarette lighter, 2 barrel outputs. Here's your button for your DC on, and here's your 2 USBs. These are A's, and then 1 USB-C. Nice little screen. It's full of everything it needs. Here's UPS right here, and then AC and DC. So it has all the little indicators. There's an app with this thing. A flashlight, yeah, it comes in handy. I like, you know, a lot of people, they always bash the lights on these power stations. I'll tell you one scenario where this would absolutely come in handy. So say I love fishing, okay? And if you fish down by a river at night, you have to walk through these paths, okay? And in these paths you have spider webs, and you have branches, and you have crap hanging in your face, and it'll poke you in the eyeball. It sucks to walk through the woods or the forest at night. So if you were to hold this power station with 2 hands facing forward, you could turn this little light on, and now you can see through the woods. And you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, Rambling Bob, I can just do that with my phone. Yes, you can. However, this is already built in. Might as well use that, right? And I guarantee that the flashlight on this bad boy will last way longer than your phone. So, all right, let's see what it has. As far as it's $239. I've seen it go as low as $209. Guys, I personally, I think that's a steal for the options that you get. $209 for your first starter. I believe this is a starter power station for people that want to get in, you know, to this whole hobby. It's a very fun hobby, but it can be extremely expensive. It can add up very quick. All right, so let's see what you got here. So you got 600 watts, and that's 600 watts combined to the 2 AC outs or the DC. It's a total of 600 out. And then you have a pure sine. That's a necessity nowadays. I'm not a modified sine wave inverter guy. I don't like it. When you have expensive sound equipment and stuff, it works better, sounds better on pure sine wave. It's a cleaner signal. But there is an inverter surge up to 1200, and what that is that's a powerlifting mode. That's a special thing that Bluetti has come up with, where they can ramp up. I recommend not using this all the time, because it does strain the batteries. However, if you need it for a short time, it's very nice that you can pull 1200 watts out of this little box. You will probably pull 1200 watts, possibly 10, 15, 20 minutes tops. But that 10, 15, 20 minutes can get you through a very bad situation. Who knows? You know, who knows? Or the surge where you start up like a drill or a circle saw or something like that, where you need that initial surge that's really, really high. But for being a 268 watt-hour battery pack, a battery cell, and you have 600 watts, you can draw off it right away. That's higher than the actual battery capacity in itself. So that's nice. And then to have it almost 4 times the power as what the battery is, that shows that the batteries can handle that kind of put out. Probably for a short time, but still, like I said, it's worth it. It's worth it if you need it. You know, everybody complains about it until you need it. 268 watt-hour capacity. That's not bad. I think that's a very nice starter size. Anything up to 600 watt-hours, I recommend as a starter generator, solar generator. You got 430 watt max dual charging, so you got solar and AC. The most you can put in there is 430, which there again, I mean, you're doubling almost what the rated capacity of the battery is to push it that fast. You know, that's quick, so you can hurry up and, you know, get that, you know, with less than an hour and be on the road. You could charge it with, you know, your DC in your car through cigarette lighter or something like that. Lithium iron phosphate, guys. if you take any word of advice, stay away from lithium ion. Get these LiPo4s. That's lithium iron phosphate. It's safer. It's got more cycles. I mean, I think it's about 5 to 7 times the amount of cycles. Lithium ion runs about up to 500 cycles to 80%, and lithium iron phosphate is up to 3,500. You could go a little bit more possibly if you baby the batteries. That's the whole trick with batteries. I've got old DeWalt batteries that still work, and those are lithium ion, because you learn to baby them. Don't charge fast or use fast if you don't need it. Charge slow. Go to bed, throw it in a charger, let it sit for a couple hours rather than speed charge something, because it's more strain on those battery cells. Okay, here it says 2,500 life cycles. Now, I've seen a lot of Life Pro 4 batteries that go up to 35. So we're going to take their word for it here, 2,500. Like my other power stations, both of them up to 35. Of course, you never can prove this until you have to wait 5 or 10 years, right? You just have to wait. There's no way you're going to do 2,500 life cycles in the next week or so. So that's something that comes with age, kind of like fine wine. Did it age like milk, or did it age like wine as far as the battery cells? You got 6 different ways to recharge this. Wow. AC, solar, car, generator, AC and solar, and AC and adapter. The AC and adapter. That I'd have to see what that is. I believe that's the AC and the car, but I don't know. I'd have to see. AC and adapter. Maybe they have a standalone adapter. Who knows? Oh, the wall and I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. 9 outputs total for charging 9 things at once. Smart control and monitor in the Bluetti. The monitor is nice. Now what that does is it gives you kind of a little heads up of what's coming in, what's going out, what's being used. That way, if you have any vampiric devices, you can go through and say, hey, this is using 10 watts for what? I'm not even using it. It's not on. Turn that off, unplug it. So I do like that. It's like having a kilowatt meter hooked to your power station all the time, where that you're starting out with 268 right off the bat. That's not much. So if you waste 10 watts per hour, that's 240 watts a day. That's a lot, right? You just burn the entire battery pack almost. So I do like the monitor in the apps. Now the app does burn up extra energy. However, like I said, in a certain situation, it does monitor all that stuff, so you have more lab coat kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. And you got smart control and monitor. Okay, I just read that. 200 watt solar input. So you can do, what was it here? 200 from the solar, and then it was 430 max. So we got to see what the AC is. I don't know if the AC is 430, or if the AC is 230 in and the solar is 200, which would complete to 430 watts input. Easy to carry, fast charging, safe, reliable, cost effective, and 24-hour UPS. That's huge, guys, because what you can do is leave this plugged in the wall all the time, and that universal power supply is what that UPS stands for. That's, say you had something that was important, CPAP machine or any kind of a medical device that you need, that when the power goes out, your desktop, not really a laptop, but your desktop, and it switches over. I believe it's 18 milliseconds. We'll see. Hopefully, it'll have it listed down there. But that's nice, because then you don't lose whatever you are working on your computer, or you don't shut off something important like a medical device. Or how about something as simple as like a heating blanket, if you're using that, and all of a sudden the power kicked out, and you're using that little heating blanket or something like that, and boom, you just lost your heating blanket, and you got to get up and restart it. That's nice. That's nice. And another thing with that app is I always say this. It's nice. Say this machine was sitting on the counter in your RV in our situation, and you didn't want to get up in the morning because it's cold, it's chilly, right? You didn't have the heat on. You turned it down for the night, and you're always nice and warm in bed. Or maybe you're watching TV, and you can literally flip up your phone. It shows kind of old school I am. When you flip up your phone, you open your phone. See, there I go again. You use your phone. It's 2023, Bob. You use your phone, and you can turn on the AC or the DC from a click of a button on that app. That's nice. That's nice. So you can leave the power button on the device, and then turn on the app, and boom, you got live power. That's very nice. All right, let's see what we got. That's a review. That looks like I don't know who that is. That looks like Hobotech. Guys, Hobotech is one of my favorite guys I watch on the internet, period. I learned so much from him. him and Jason Ord and Will Prowse. Anywhere. There's a guy happily strolling down the beach in sandals here. 600 watt out, 80% charge in 30 minutes. I'm not a fan of the ratings with the 80% charge. I like ratings that show, as I've said on many of these videos, I like the ratings that show the full 100% charge, because that's what really matters. This is an emergency charge to hurry up and get the power in there so you can split. I like to see what, because in 30 minutes, that means it probably takes another 30 minutes to finalize that last 20. Because in a baseball stadium, it's much easier to find a seat in an empty stadium than a full stadium. That's a good analogy as far as how power is delivered to each cell individually. Because you have tons of cells inside these things, so they all have to, fight over the, where they should go, kind of like a baseball stadium, trying to find those empty seats. You can power that with the T200, that's a 200 watt power supply right here. Then you can have your 200 watt in. Here's your 30 minutes to 80. So then probably another, as I was saying, another 30 minutes, give or take, to 100%. Let's see. I think, I think Apple started that with their iPods and stuff, 0 to 80. I could be wrong with that, but I remember hearing a lot of that when it first came out. Okay, so here you go. So you have wall socket. Okay, standard is 268 from the wall. That's 1.5 hours. So it's actually longer than I thought, guys. But then you have turbo charging mode, which is 350. That's 1.3. Like I said, if you don't need the power right now and you can wait that other 0.2 hours, guys, do yourself a favor. Do standard mode. It puts less strain on those batteries over time. Here's your 2 hours with your 200 watt solar panel, so I was correct with that, but this has that turbo charging on the AC side. 100 watt panel take about 3 hours. That seems kind of average for, here you got car cigarette lighter. I do like, now this is something I do like with Bluetti. They have a 12 volt or 24 volt charging from the cigarette lighter if you have a 24 volt system in your vehicle. That's nice. Generator, basically the same. It's got an AC inverter on there. Hopefully you use a pure sine. Like I said, I'm not a fan of modified sine waves. Unless it's an emergency, I don't use them at all. It's just a personal preference, guys. You might like it. Let's see. Okay, so here's your lithium iron phosphate battery cells. I do like these. These are bigger. Stuttering, sorry. The battery packs that I've seen in some of the new ones have those flat ones, kind of like RC World, how they've had those flat cells. So I'm waiting till they start implementing those. But these cells can hold a pretty good chunk of power, though, and they can put out a pretty good chunk of power. All right, see 9 outlets. These you take with a grain of salt, because I always said, like, my mini fridge only uses 35 watts. Where is it? Where's the light? Okay, my light. Oh, here. See, no, that's 5 watts. That's what mine uses, anywhere from 1 to 6 watts. But that's nice. Laptop. That all depends on what you got. I got an Alienware R5. I'll burn that down to 30 minutes. As soon as I start playing Far Cry 5 or GTA 5 or something like that, I will absolutely burn every watt hour out of this battery pack in 30 minutes. It just eats up power. So this is the average laptop, I assume. And obviously with 100 watts, it's probably not a dedicated video card and stuff. So these I always take with a grain of salt. It's just this is kind of like a recommendation, Let's see. Here's the app again. I like it a lot. So here's a DC on and the AC on, or the power off of the entire system. I like this, guys. This is a nice, clean, simple app. Here you have your solar panels coming in. This is your grid or your wall coming in. This is your DC going out with the power button underneath it. This is the AC coming out with the power button underneath it. And here's your power meter. I like it. I like it. And this is a huge thing, Bluetti. Thank you for doing this. Every single app that you use lists the model that you're using, just to make sure you don't have the wrong app on. And you say, why can't I connect? Well, you're using the wrong app. So it automatically, detects what you have, and then it pops this on so you can, make sure you're connected. I wonder if I don't know if you have to sign in, but I wonder if two people had two of these next to each other and they can mess with each other. That'd be fun at a football game when you're out there tailgating and you turn off the other guy's cooking halfway through. Right, let's see. So top rated products, okay, blah, blah, blah. That's all the new stuff. Now let's get down to the brass tacks. This is what this is all about, this power. Tech specs. This is where it is. Okay, so you got height, about 7 inches tall, 7 inches wide, 10 inches deep. I think they, oh, I did it wrong. I'm sorry. 10 inches wide, holy cow. Length, width, height. Okay, so height is 7 inches, width is 7 inches, length is 10 inches. So it's 10 inches. I always call this wide, but it's length. That always gets me in trouble at work. About 10 pounds. I mean, it's nothing, guys. It's nothing. It's less than a case of beer. You could take this down and charge all your phones and your tablet and your laptop down by the beach or something like that. Or, you know, you even take it to work, throw it in your toolbox if it's big enough. You know, that's cool. That's very cool to have that handy power. You know, a lot of job sites don't have electricity in there yet, right? Right? And you take that in a portable panel, boom, you're done. Okay, so here's your capacity, 268.8 watt hours, 12 amp hour battery total. Lithium iron phosphate batteries, guys, I recommend those only. I'm not a fan of lithium ion anymore. It served its purpose and now it's time to move on. Life cycles is 2,500 cycles to 80% original capacity. And the shelf life, guys, now what this is I've talked about it many times, is anytime that you store a battery, whether it's a RC LiPo battery, a DeWalt battery, you want to cycle it from time to time, because if it sits too long, it gets kind of like stale. The energy kind of burns up the cells, and it deteriorates them faster. So they recommend every 3 to 6 months. I personally, in my life, I charge them and discharge them at least once a month. It's not going to hurt 3,500 cycles to do it once a month. That's a long time to burn out 2,500 cycles. There you got MPPT controller, so it's protected, and you got the battery management system. And I always like that Bluetti says etc. The etc is probably, I'm guessing, because it doesn't say, is maybe low or high voltage. Low or high heat cutoff. That way, if you're in a rough situation, it won't let them charge and burn up those battery cells. So the AC outlets here, you got 2 at 120 volts at 5 amps each. That's 600 watts max for each AC, 600 in total. So that means if you plug in 2 things, one on this side and one on that side, port 1 and port 2, you could do 300 per side. Pure sine wave, guys. That is industry standard now. You know, stay with the pure sine wave. It's better. You'll be happier long term. I'll leave it at that. Your surge power, this is your power lifting. It's 1200 watts. Your USB-C port is 100 watt max. That's 20 volts by 5 amps out, which is 100 watts. That's very nice to see on a small box like that, to be able to put out that much power. USB-A is there's 2 ports at 5 volts at 3 amps. That's 15 watts out. USB-A, which is the traditional grandfather USB port, the rectangular square one that you guys are used to. The DC outputs, you have one 12-volt cigarette lighter, 10 amp car outlet. Now, oh, here it is. I was just going to say I didn't see the word regulated behind here, but here it is right here. Look at that, regulated. Here, oh, and these aren't 8 millimeter on this model. This is 5521, so 5.5 millimeter by 2.1 millimeter inside. 10 amps, 120, so it's 120 watts out total, and it says all regulated. That's nice because, as I said in the other videos, if you have like a portable refrigerator, and say you have some beers, or in my situation, you got some Dr. Peppers in there, some soda, good old soda pop, and you're out there in 80, 90 degrees weather. If that detects no load on your power station, that is going to shut down the power station, and you're going to lose your soda pop or your beer or your sandwiches or your Subways or whatever you're eating, or your steaks or your meat or your hamburgers or just everything. It'll spoil everything, and you don't want that. Wireless charging pad, 15 watts. There's one on top. I thought there was one on this model. I've seen a lot of videos with this model on the stream. And now, just something to remember with wireless charging, at best it's probably about 50% efficiency. So you're not going to go and get 15 watts out of there. You're probably going to pull about 7 or 8 of what I've seen. That's what I've seen. 7 or 8 watts, which, I mean, it's doable. But you have to remember that when you transport energy through the air, it's not efficient. That's why. Now, if Nikola Tesla, his Tesla coil would have worked, and he bumped it up to 1 million volts and shipped it all over the whole world, we could be talking different. But as for what we have nowadays, 15 watts. When you go through the air, you kind of lose the voltage. So you're not dealing with a million watt Tesla coil. You're dealing with a 15 watt wireless charging pad on a Bluetti little, baby box. So your input is AC charging standard mode. That's no box, guys. No lunch box. No power supply. It's just a standard cord that goes right in the wall. You've used that on a lot of power boxes for power supplies for laptops, cookers. A lot of stuff has that standard. It's basically a computer cable, if you're familiar with that, or a monitor cable. 268 watts, but you do have the option for turbocharge. If you're in a hurry, it's going to save you about 0.2 hours, and that's 350 watt max input. And here's your solar input. We talked about 200 watt max, VOC 12 to 28. So that's basically a 112 volt panel. Or I suppose you can always parallel stuff together, but you don't want to do stuff in series when it's this low, because you're going to over voltage that and burn out that controller or the system. God forbid. At 8.5 is the cutoff. Car input is 12 to 24 volts from the cigarette lighter port. I like the 24, guys. That speeds it up. Normally you can only get about 120, maybe 100 to 120 watts out of the 12, but you could get all the way up to 200, sometimes 200 plus out of the 24 volt version. So if you have a dual alternator or bigger alternator, or a lot of guys have semi trucks and stuff, and drivers, they're starting to buy these, and then you have that 24 volt system built on there, because the big rig that uses some big power. Here maximum input is 430. So if you have AC and the DC, which is your solar, at the same time, you can go up to 430, and I'm pretty sure that's an hour and maybe hour 20 minutes or so, and that whole box will be full. The 0 to 80 will be very fast, and then of course you have to find those last remaining seats in the baseball stadium. Here's your recharge times. Ooh, I just talked about that. Okay, AC charging at turbo mode, 350 watts, is 1.3 to 1.8 hours. The standard, which I recommend, guys, unless you're in a hurry, is 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm positive you can wait 0.2 more hours, unless you are one of the guys who watches the water boil in a coffee pot. So, or if you watch the timer on a microwave. I'm looking at you. I know you're one of those guys. I do it myself. I'd stare at the timer on a microwave like it's going to go faster or something. But this time is not a big difference. I'm sure you can wait a little bit, a couple more minutes, and it'll be done. Here's your solar, 1.8 to 2 hours, and that's with prime sunshine. I like how they worded that, prime. Basically, that's full sunshine, 100%, the best you can in your area with those panels. And it says ideal orientation, which is the angle and the longitude, latitude, was it azimuth for like setting up what is it, oh my gosh, satellite panels. You get the azimuth and stuff. Basically, you look at the sun and you aim it at it, you know what I mean? And then with low temperature. So they're probably recommending about in the 70s. That's usually a prime sweet spot for these panels, it seems, or for testing. Obviously, the colder it is, the more power you can pull in, because it's cooling down those cells on the solar panel. Here you got 12 to 24 volt car again, 100 watts to 200 watts. That's nice. So just about 2 to 2.5 hours on the 24, and 3 to 4 almost on the 12 volt. Both of them together, you got 1.2 to 1.7. So the 1.2 is probably that 80%, and then you have another possible half an hour for that last 20%. And then with the prime sunshine, I love how they word sometimes, prime sunshine. It sounds like a steak. Dual AC, you got 1.2 to 1.7, which is the same. This is obviously the 0 to 80, and this is probably full with optimal Bluetti T200 adapter. So that's a special adapter. I believe they're talking the T200. I think that's the solar panel, guys. I think. I'll have to go back and check. It says adapter, but I don't know. Maybe that's a solar panel. Pass-through charging, yes, that's a wonderful thing to have on any power station, guys. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So that way when it's full, it's not killing your batteries. The energy's going right through it, goes around the batteries kind of, and then out to the item that you need without draining the batteries first. I like that. 10 pounds is the weight. Dimensions we went over. Operating temperature, -4 to 104. That's nice because you can use it in below freezing temperatures, not sub-freezing, only 4 degrees under sub-freezing. but it's nice because I remember a video that Jasonoid did, and he slept in his truck. He took one for the team, and he wrapped himself up in a heating blanket, and he put his power station out there, and he damn near froze to death out there because it was cold. That young fella, he's out there, and you could see his breath, but he wanted to test the power station to see how it works. If he had one that went down a little bit lower, that would have been nice because he stayed warm. But even his camera shut off. I mean, it was chilly out there. I felt bad for him. I wanted to buy him some hot chocolate, but I didn't know how to get it to him quick. Storage temperature, 32, which is just above freezing, obviously, or that's where freezing starts. 0 degrees Celsius, up to 104. Always a good thing that I recommend for people, guys, if you have made the mistake of leaving electronics in sub-freezing temperature, huge thing. This is huge, and I learned this the hard way over many, many years, 25 plus years, 30, well, probably 30 years, 35. If you have a device that's electronic and it was in sub-freezing temperatures, or freezing or below, 32 degrees or less, bring it into an environment that's room temperature and leave it alone for a couple hours, guys. Let it come up to room temperature slowly and patiently. Do not rush it, because what happens is when you create a hot and a cold environment in the same area, you create condensation because you have two cold fronts mixing. And if you guys remember what happens in the clouds when you have a hot and a cold front meet, you have a storm. I'm not saying you're going to have a storm inside your box. You will if you turn it on, I can assure you of that. Sparks will start to fly because that condensation builds up on the boards, and obviously the water connects all the circuitry together, and you don't want that. Water's a 100% enemy of electronics in any situation, unless they start making waterproof power stations that you can go, snorkeling with. I haven't seen them yet. I've seen water shed. I haven't seen waterproof. In the box, you get the EB3A. You get the AC charging cable, which is nice, guys. No charging brick. That's a plus. And then you get the MC4 connectors with the 5521 barrel. So that's nice. And then you get the warranty card, the QC card, and that basically you scan it with your phone. It goes right to the page. And then the user manual. Let's hope it's correctly worded. And then here's your optional accessories that you could get, which are the panels or the car charging cable, which obviously, I didn't notice that. Okay, so the car charging cable does not come with this. Okay, it has the option, but you have to buy the cable separate. That I did not know. That I just learned right now. But well, that's pretty much it, guys. That's the Bluetti EB3A portable power station. It's a nice little box. If you're just getting into power stations, this might be a good one to start with. Like I said, this price right here, $240. I have seen it as low as $209 with a special code from Bluetti's stream, Bluetti official stream. I'm always there, guys. If you want to join me over there, it's fun. We sit, we chat, we talk about this stuff, and it's fun. It's a great place to chat about technology. There's a lot of intelligent people in there with a good background that can really help you in the right direction. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much it, or interest-free payments. Okay, well, like I said, this isn't a sponsor review. It's just a personal review that I saw the power station. I've watched it a few times on the stream, and I thought, I'm going to do a review of what it is so people that are new to the industry can understand it a little bit better without watching the real technical kind of review, because sometimes that kind of goes over your head sometimes. And I kind of have more of a layman's terms of a way of explaining stuff, and it seems to sink into people's brains a little bit easier. And that's what the channel is for, is to help people understand. I want people to enjoy their products. So definitely, if you want to get into power stations, this is one to look at, guys. I'll leave the link to Bluetti's Amazon page, and I'll leave the link to Bluetti's homepage, to this page exactly, and then you can take a look at it yourself and see if that's the right one for you. All right, guys, ramble on, be safe, and I'll see you again. Bye.